When the histories are written of this time in music, the teens and the 20s, I think we're going to look back and we're going to say that Playboi Carti and The Weeknd are two of the most important sort of titans of this time. The voice of pop R&B, very artistically interesting and very driven, while at the same time maybe the best or the most interesting of the Atlanta school of rap or the Rage school of rap. I've been thinking about how to talk about this new song by Weeknd and Playboi Carti, Timeless, and so I sort of thought, well, okay, I mean, this writes itself, When's the last time I can think of this level of artists, these level of artists working together? All right, so the problem is Jay-Z and R. Kelly's album, The Best of Both Worlds. It's part of my ever-growing collection of CDs from the late 90s to early 2000s that makes me feel uncomfortable when I listen to it. But it's kind of a similar idea. It's a good album. It's not as good as you would think it would be with these two people working together, but it's really nice. But I can't use that as my framing device. So, because, Playboi Carti isn't Jay-Z, and The Weeknd isn't R. Kelly. I hope not. So this is the question then. Let's just make it a simpler question. Do they go together? Like, does this work? Is there, when their voices get together, is it like the first time you ever saw somebody go to a movie theater with you, and they got the bag of the popcorn with the butter and the salt, and then they also buy a box of peanut M&Ms, and then they just rip open the top, and then they pour it into the bag and shake it up. And you're like, you can't do that. That's not going to taste good. And then you eat that bag, and then you do that again next time you go to the movie theater, the sweet and the salty, the unexpected tastes? Or is this going to be more like the next time you go to the movie theater and you thought, I could do this, and you buy a bag of popcorn and a box of Sour Patch Kids. Pop that puppy open, tear open that bag, pour it in, you've got kernels stuck in your teeth, it's too salty, it's too sweet, it's just absolutely disgusting. So what is it? What is this collaboration? Playboi Carti and The Weeknd. Is this what I'm going with? Listen, I can't help it, okay? You don't want to hear me talk about R. Kelly for how long this video is, so we're stuck with this framing device. Is this popcorn and peanut M&Ms? Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by a French professor who is always positive, which is why, even though I started making it, I did not make a video on what I thought was the worst song of the summer. The first time that The Weeknd and Playboi Carti, why do I keep calling him Ployboy? Listen, if you don't know, I record an hour before my family wakes up. That's why I'm wearing my bathrobe. I got my baby monitor, so I definitely can't re-record. So if I keep saying Playboi Carti, you're just going to have to ride with me. The first time Playboi Carti and The Weeknd collaborated with Madonna, it was over the summer with that song Popular. Now, fortunately for everybody, nobody remembers this. This came and went. It came from the TV show The Idol, which I think The Idol was more good than bad. The problem is the bad parts were gigantic. Like, the bad parts were so bad. I don't blame anybody for hating the show. But there were a lot of really good things in that show, which I think is a bummer that we've lost with just how poorly it ended and how many questionable things were in the beginning and the middle. But by far, this song is the worst thing about that show to me. Have you even heard Popular? Oh my God. It's like these three great artists who I love doing the worst thing they've ever done. Okay, Madonna's cover of American Pie is still the worst thing she's ever done. But beyond that, it's just Madonna's wearing grills and she's singing super thin, and Weeknd just keeps singing the word popular over again like that goddamn song from Wicked. And Carti phones it in so bad, I don't even think he knew he was recording. I think they just recorded him while he was talking, like they were just in a room with him. Money on top of me, money on top of her. Like, that's all he says. There's just nothing to it. It's like they all made each other worse. Just more and more Sour Patch Kids into the popcorn. And somehow, it was produced by Metro Boomin and Mike Dean. Like, how was it possible that something this bad was made by people this good? Which is what makes Timeless so fascinating. Here, we have Mike Dean, a couple other dudes. Oye Volta, the sort of new semi-permanent Kanye producer, one of the better members of the Donda crew, and Pharrell. So like you see Pharrell on there, all of a sudden you're like, all right, let's see what's going on here. Why don't we throw one of the greatest producers on top of all this, in addition to all these other things happening? And what ends up happening is, of course, the song is just great. It's just great. Instead of bringing each other down, they build each other up. The haunting weirdness of The Weeknd matches the haunting weirdness of Playboi Carti perfectly on the song. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like they're trying to make something happen, Gretchen, like they did with that popular song. Here, it just works perfectly. Because that's why I make the popcorn and the M&M comparison. You know, I'm not like comparing like, you know, caviar and I don't know, corn dogs. You know, like you know, popcorn and M&Ms. You know, they're fairly palatable stuff, but the way you put them together can make them taste better. So, I think a lot of what we owe to this song, I think it has to be Pharrell, or it has to be the people around Pharrell trying to up their game, because it's going to sound so snobby, but it's like an artisanal Playboi Carti beat. So it has those. I'm sorry, the birds are going absolutely nuts today. I hope you enjoy it. It has the, like, there's almost like a leitmotif, like a sound that follows Playboi Carti, and it's the sound of a kind of fractured, arpeggiated synthesizer. You know, the sort of filthy style sound, and that's in the back here. But you can tell that the person who's behind it is like, instead of just pressing a button on the keyboard and letting it go, he's like crafting it. Like the way this synthesizer, the tone is so nice, and it has a little stutter step to it. And there's like an attention to detail where sometimes it falls perfectly on his lyrics and falls in line perfectly with his voice. It has this level of polish and detail, which is intoxicatingly good. Now, first time you heard it, you might have said, yeah, whatever, I get it. Do what I did, which is sit around this morning eating Count Chocula. It's October 1st, everybody. We have to be civilized. Eating Count Chocula, listening to this song on repeat. And you just hear how well, and even the drum beat is this. It's, you know, it's kind of trappy hi-hats, but it's not super predictable. It kind of trails off. Again, it has that little shuffle, and then the more you listen to it, the keyboard becomes like an extra voice that's like echoing what Weeknd and what Playboi are doing. It's great. It's really just great. And then the drums come in and drop out, and then at the end, it has this semi-inspirational moment where it lifts up. So, what does this do for the two artists then, not just the producers? Well, what you want to have happen is you want them to inform each other. You want Playboi Carti to become perhaps more pop-minded and melodic. I mean, as you can tell by his new songs, like he's doing some new stuff. We don't know what Playboi Carti's up to. Based on all the songs we've heard from IM Music, we don't quite know where he's going. And this continues with like, what is he doing? So you want Playboi Carti, in this case, to be more Weeknd-ish. And I would say you want Weeknd to be a little bit more like a semi-improvised rage rapper. I mean, Weeknd is a good rapper. You just can't tell because he sings so well. A good rapper in the sort of modern style of rap, right? I'm not saying he's Jay-Z, but I'm saying he's capable of singing in a way that reminds you of the Atlanta rappers who he is singing over. And it's a perfect mixture of both over this just lush track. It is kind of a subtle song as well. I mean, there is a hook, but it's like kind of it's not a hooky hook. You know, it's the kind of hook where, so if you don't, still on the Professor Skylore, I've got bronchitis and it's not going away. So I wake up like every 2 hours with coughing, so it sucks. Hopefully I'll hold out for this video. and like I woke up every 2 hours, and every time I woke up, I had I love her body. Ever since I was a kid, I've been legit. You know, so cool. Like that really passes the test. But it's not quite the earworm that it could be, and I think that's part of the subtlety of it. So let's start off, right? The song begins with these kind of swirling synthesizer sounds that remind me, you know, I think this is probably Oye Volta or Mike Dean or somebody who works with Kanye, somebody who works with Gesaffelstein. It has that kind of ominous warmth that builds up and Obviously, one of the main themes of the song is just the name of Playboi Carti, of Weeknd's label XO, and he's singing XO, and then just gets started. And when we talk about Playboi Carti's verse, so my daughter, I have a baby, a 2-year-old, and a 16-year-old daughter in the house right now. And the 16-year-old, we were listening to this, and she's a Carti fan. She's like, "Who else is on this track?" I'm like, "It's just Weeknd and Carti." No, who are the other voices in this first verse? It's just Carti. He's really using his multiple voices super well here. And I think there's maybe 3 different voices he's using here. To start off, we have his sort of natural voice. And I love this opening line. First of all, I feel uncomfortable using the term jit. I know it's not offensive, so I will continue to use it, but I also know it comes from Black American English, and I feel like it hasn't been stolen yet. Like, I've never heard a white person or a non-black person refer to themselves as a jit, so I feel like this song might be fully mainstreaming that, and that might be another word that's just stolen. So I'm sorry. I apologize to be part of the problem. It just keeps on taking all these great words. But I'm a linguist. It's not my fault. Wherever the good language comes from, wherever the interesting words come from, jit is a very interesting word. So ever since I was a jit, I knew I was the shit. Just a simple lyric, a simple idea, but that's a great framing device because it's talking about being timeless. It's actually really clever. It's a great framing device because it's a simple idea, and it's just saying the basic thing that rap music always says, which is I'm the best, right? And I like it when rappers say I'm the best without having to talk about luxury brands. I just find that more interesting. And it's just a catchy little idea. It actually kind of reminds me of Hammer's attempt at another hit after You Can't Touch This, too legit to quit. A little bit like that. Ever since I was a jit, I knew I was too legit to quit. Shorty want to come around, she want to get hit. So he just does that in his normal voice, and then he goes into his singing imp voice. She thinks she's a man because I keep on my side. Trouble up outside the Washington. I'm timeless. And anything's timeless. And then all of a sudden, Weeknd is doing all of the ad-libs. And then you realize, can he do the ad-libs for all of IM Music? Can we do an ad-lib mix? Because his clear, angelic voice goes so well with Big Imp and Playboi Carti. And he goes back to a normal voice. Has all these outrageous rhymes. He talks about being on a blimp. That's cool. And then he starts auto-tune singing. She's singing my song, She Wanna Die Lit, like sometimes he's singing, sometimes he's auto-tune singing, sometimes he's rapping normal voice, sometimes he's using imp voice, and then towards the end of his verse, he starts speeding up. He goes way faster now, but not in a hum way, just you have to pay attention, you gotta listen. Playboi Carti's doing a lot of detail work on his most recent songs, and you gotta get out of the mode of just being like, yeah, he's die lit, he's evolving, he is. And then I don't know what he's saying, but then it ends with just, I feel like The Rock. I don't know why he feels like The Rock, but that's the end of this great sweeping verse. Weeknd comes on, he delivers this hook, this chorus, but I love it because he starts off saying, ever since I was a kid, I've been legit. And I like that he says kid. He later says jit, but I like he says kid because realistically, I believe jit is a term that is mostly, if not exclusively, used in southern states in the United States. Definitely, I don't think in Canada. So I like that he starts off saying kid, sort of indicating maybe that distance. And then he sings all about all these women having the labels of the artist tattooed all over their body, which as far as kind of creepy, possessive things that The Weeknd sings about women is pretty chill. It was her choice to get it tattooed, we hope. There were forced tattoos in The Idol, though, weren't there? Or am I thinking of... I might be thinking of that Yellow Jackets show. I'm pretty sure there were forced tattoos. You tell me if you've seen The Idol more than once. After the ending, I couldn't forget... Seriously, I was like, this show sucks, this show sucks. Actually, that's kind of interesting. It's very brave and unsettling. Oh, that kind of sucked. And then I was like, you know what? Actually, oh my God, they did it. This is a really interesting idea. And then the very end of the show happened, and poof, just blech. And I like how he references Neptunes in 03 because he's rapping over a Pharrell beat. And then he does some real kind of rapping. If you take his rapping, you can imagine him singing. You can imagine Playboi Carti rapping these as much as you could him. She hippie flipping the bean. She wanna fuck with the tea. She fell in love with the cream. Yeah, she fell in love with the scene. Oh yeah, her man quiet but not a peep. You can sort of imagine that. broke his heart, PTSD, hold his chest, let it breathe, scheme. I got a priest, he got a cross, get out of line, send him to God. I shed a tear, pray for her loss. Damn, that's hard. This is... Sorry, I'm going to cough now. Weeknd is actually super cold-blooded on this song. The first lyrics, ever since I was a kid, I knew I was legit. If I were you, I'd cut my wrists. Please, Hammer, don't hurt him. Weeknd, man, what is going on with you? This whole verse about stealing a dude's woman, and he basically has a heart attack, and he's like she's trying to help him, but like you have to get a priest because he's dead, and he feels bad for the girl who he's going to sleep with because he took her, and by taking her, he killed her man. Damn, Weeknd, that is brutal. Love it. It's fun. I mean, it's not fun because no one's actually dying, right? This is just talking about how attractive and seductive he is. And then, just to remind you how it ends with these resolving, sweeping synthesizers, very much like Kool and the Gang, Summertime Madness. It's just great. It's just what a great song. Really, I really enjoy it. I want to thank my Patreons. They help me to buy music. I'm going to buy the new Weeknd album because I really like the last one a lot. Even though you heard it here from me first, the album cover, the new Weeknd album, he looks like John McClane from Die Hard. I swear to God, he's about to say Yippee-Ki-Yo. If the Weeknd does not say Yippee-Ki-Yo on the next album, I will be surprised. As always, gotta see, am I going to make the shot? Backwards? I've only ever made it once. Catch you in the flippity-flip. I knocked over my chocolate and popcorn. There's the camera. Hey. Did you like the song? Do you think I'm crazy? Why am I asking you so intense? There's the camera.